So we have arrived into Cloudwater Brewing Company. They got a cold store over there, head office over there, and that's actually Track Brewing Company over there, which we're going to go to in a bit. You've got the brewery here, and here we have Rob and Paul. So we kind of have to go straight into the brewery here. Barrel storage, I'm sure we'll see all that in a moment, but hello Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for the invite. Thanks for showing me around the brewery today.
Sure. Yeah.
2014 you got started here?
Yeah, we were working really at home, trying to build the plans in 2014, and then back end of the year we got the keys. So 7th of November 2014 we got the keys to the place, and just a little over 3 months later, Valentine's Day 2015, we brewed our first batch here. So
fantastic.
Quick turnaround, and you know, everything fit inside, which was a really good really good achievement early on, and everything worked, so we just got cracking really.
So when you first come through here, what was you faced with? What was you like? You had an empty warehouse?
Yeah, so this warehouse had been painted nice, glossy, shiny floor paint that you would literally break your neck if you walked on it when it was wet. So there wasn't even a single plug or a single tap in the entire warehouse. So
you had no water supply? You had to
literally start from scratch.
Fantastic.
So every single thing we had to build and add all of the logistical facilities, add all of the utility facilities in to make sure that we could go kind of end to end, bring grain in this end and goods out that side, and make sure that everything was going to work end to end.
Fantastic. So while we're on the subject of water, Manchester, I've just arrived. Soft or hard water?
You know, Manchester's water gets billed as kind of neutral, so it's definitely not the hardest and it's definitely not the softest. I think it's quite nice to drink. It's a little dry on the palate, and it really helps accentuate bitterness and hoppiness.
Well, that's perfect for this type of thing here, isn't it? Look at this.
This is fresh off the line, so get that down here in the hand.
Fantastic. Could you hold the bottom? There we go.
Teamwork.
There we go. Don't you have time to think? 4% ABV.
Yeah.
Driving beer, I call it. Not actually driving, but fantastic. And whilst we got the cans in the hand, 440 milliliter.
Yeah.
You're the 440 milliliter man of the UK, aren't you? Because if you think about it, you went straight into canning. You knew what you wanted to do, didn't you? You had this plan and you went with it, and it was so unusual at the time to see 440 milliliter cans, because we used to 330, weren't we, Rob? And
yeah. I guess it was what we were doing in America.
Yeah, so our big decision, so for a very short period of time, we had a Maheen bottler.
Okay.
We did 6 bottles at a time, and we would fill 330 ml bottles. We had an absolute shit show back end of summer 2015, where the local supplier in the UK ran out of that specific bottle design. Yep. Every bottle design's got different dimensions from top to bottom. So we then contacted the manufacturer, and they said, no, the plant's shut for the summer.
Okay.
We're refurbing machines. So chaos. We had all this beer backing up in tank. We eventually found a second manufacturer of exactly the same dimension glass in Germany. Managed to get all the beer out of tank about a month late by that point, but thank God it got packaged, and that really burnt our love for bottles. I mean, we thought bottles were pretty good. They looked very classy. I think they still feel great in your hand. They feel great on your lip, but it really put us off continuing with such a sort of vulnerable package format. So we had a quality standard that we were able to hit in those bottles with that particular machine, and all we wanted to do was replicate that quality standard in cans.
Right.
And now in order to protect our beer when we package it, we've basically got to keep oxygen away from it.
Yeah.
And so our biggest goal when we were moving towards a canning line was, how do we move towards a line that doesn't allow more oxygen to contact the beer? And we did our research, we tracked down all of the numbers that folk were seeing in other breweries here and abroad, and we basically decided that the canning lines that were around at the time that we could afford, that were about the right sort of shape and size for us, didn't quite cut it on a 330 can.
Yeah.
So we said, you know what, if we add a third more beer, that takes the oxygen exposure down by that proportionate amount.
Right.
So that's basically why we moved to 440s, was it allowed us to maintain the same oxygen contact, which was very low.
Yeah.
And so we just had to use more beer in a vessel in order to do that. And it was really that simple. Now, you're right to say no one else was packaging into that package format. You know, we had to really convince people to space their shelves out a little bit more in the shops and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, you know, eventually it's become the norm. And one of the things that we loved about it, you pour this out, it's 2/3 measure of beer.
Yeah.
Very, very lovely format for everything from your pale ales, even up to your strong stuff. A 2/3 is a pretty polite measure.
Absolutely iconic. Absolutely iconic. And what a lovely drinking Citrus, Simcoe and Mosaic. Perfect. 4% ABV. Fantastic. So walking into the brewery, I'm going to talk as if I've never been to a brewery before, just for my viewers who may not know what a brewery looks like on the inside. What do we have here?
Yeah, so both of these vessels here are holding our filtered water.
Right.
So even though the water in Manchester is really good,
Yep.
it does come from two different suppliers, basically Pennines or Lakes. And when it switches, the profile changes, and that can be a bit upsetting. And early years, we definitely got some surprises with that water profile switch. Also because we make one of the widest varieties of styles in craft beer in the UK, and we always have done. In our first year, we made, you know, 50 different styles of beer.
Yeah.
So we still do that today. So we make everything from lagers, where we try and replicate a kind of Germanic profile, all the way through to obviously very hoppy modern beer and really big stouts. So we like to be able to change the water profile, and using a reverse osmosis system, taking all the minerality out of the water and then building it back up custom per brew. That just gives us all the options.
That is just a fantastic way. Yeah, so the moment you come into the brewery, the first thing we're thinking about is water, and I think that's very, very important with beer. Very important.
And this is really where the brewing process starts. So this is our grist case. We load grain into it on a daily and often twice or 3 times daily basis. So here's where you're making just about all of the important decisions that set the potential for what the beer is going to be. So the amount of grain that we add is anywhere from down to 300 kilos. That's going to be for a really low ABV beer, all the way to as full as this thing gets, which is nearly a ton. And so basically that's the amount of fermentation potential that we've got in the batch.
Right.
So the amount of grain that you use pretty much correlates with how much the ABV that you're shooting for. And then obviously you're making lots of other decisions too. You're making decisions about the type of base malt. And some base malt's got loads of flavour, and you want that in your lagers. We like a base malt with a decent amount of flavour. If we're making a pale ale and we really want the hops to shine, then we want a base malt that's a bit more reserved in its presentation. And then you're adding malt that's been roasted, speciality malts. You might use smoke malts, all manner of different things. Still, upwards, you know, in our average beer, upwards of 60 to 70% of every single style is going to be base malt. And so it's really as little as that final 30% for a stout, or maybe that final 5% for a speciality beer with a bit of colour to it that makes the difference. So base malt's doing all the heavy lifting, but this is, without getting this bit right, nothing that we do afterwards makes sense, really.
So it's like a giant kind of cake mixing, if you like, you know, porridge mixing, or
So you set out all your ingredients in the grist case here, and then that gets pulled up into our mash tun.
Right, so here's the mash tun. Mash tuns.
So middle vessel here is the mash tun, and that's where we're cooking the grain. I say cooking, it's really just a warm process. So we're going to typically be, let's say, around about 65 degrees. Is a good temperature for folk to think about when it comes to creating a nice fermentable wort. So wort is the liquid that we produce when we steep the malted grain in our brewing water. We call that liquor, brewing liquor. And we produce wort in that mash tun. But of course, by the end of that process, you've got typically grain that needs filtering out. It's kind of done its job. It's lost all of it. It's let its colour out into the water. It's let all of its sweetness out into the water.
And that all comes through. I love these little. That all comes. You can see the colour of the beer through this little viewing vessel here.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's plenty of opportunities like that. So yeah, the mash tun does the conversion work. So when we buy malted grain, it's basically been partially germinated. So just about when that little barley seed puts its first shoot up, the maltsters will warm it up, cut it off. But what they've done is they've unlocked its own natural process of converting the starch, which is in the center of the seed, to sugar. Right. And really, as brewers, all we want is to pull all the sugar out of each grain seed that we use. And that's what that 65-degree stand does in the mash tun. Now we've got a steam jacket on there, so we can do lots of different temperatures and affect what our work composition is because of all those different mash functions that we can apply, all the way down to protein rests and obviously graining out. We can mash really high temperature if we want the wort to be less fermentable, etc. This vessel on the left-hand side with the mucky yellow skin underneath.
Oh yeah, that's the
lauter tun, and that's basically for removing all of that spent grain.
Right.
And then the last vessel underneath the whirlpool. And that's where we boil the wort and we make sure that the wort is sterile.
And that's it over there, boiling away over there, is it?
Right. Make sure that the wort's nice and sterile. Some of the protein drops out. We're going to add, if we're using any kind of bittering charge, we add it in there. We generally cool the wort down and then add a whirlpool addition. So that's lovely aromatics from hops, hot side. And as you can well imagine, using hops that's then got to cool down, go through fermentation, go through cold crashing, and then be packaged. The flavour that's retained is different to the flavour when you use hops last minute. Right. So you know, it's a smoother, more rounded, often sometimes biotransformed. But it's a kind of base of hop flavour that you build up from the whirlpool there. Fantastic. And then, you know, really, our next job then is to make sure that nice, clean, sterile to spec wort gets put into a shiny, clean tank. In the cellar, and we feed it our yeast.
And here are the tanks here. Can I ask you a question about lagering? Yep. Do you do? I'm presuming you produce a few lagers. So they go in one of these horizontal laying down, a vertical, vertical fermenters. Because only because I went to Czech Republic a couple of years ago and everything was kind of laying down, and I just wondered, in the future, with lager being so prominent, would there be like for you to put in some horizontal fermenters just for lagering, or is the market not quite there yet for lager?
We would love to do that. We've spoken about it many times over the years.
Yeah.
We take our lagering processes pretty seriously. We've done lagers that have had really, really long maturation times. So lagering is to store. So typically, the way that we explain it to folk is your good craft lager might have been lagering for 20 to 30 days, sometimes even longer. Yeah. When you buy a supermarket lager that's potentially on the macro end of the spectrum, some of that stuff gets knocked out in 3 or 4 days.
Pretending to be Spanish.
Well, yeah, there's a fair bit of that on the market, isn't it? So look, you're right to say that with lager being a bottom fermenting yeast, you put a lager yeast in these tanks where you've got the cones, and the surface area of that yeast bed is reduced. Now that's why you use a horizontal lagering tank, is because any of that still viable lager yeast that's in the vessel with what is then slowly becoming more and more polished beer, you're allowing a longer contact time and a greater surface area. Right, okay. So the lagering process is basically a really slow tail end of fermentation. that lager, most good lager yeasts are very good at like cleaning the beer up.
Right.
There's lots of different byproducts of fermentation that are created early on, and the longer you leave viable, healthy yeast in contact with what's then becoming a more difficult environment, especially with lager yeast, the more that lager gets cleaned up and it gets refined, and it becomes really more and more free of very minor off flavors, but off flavors that make a big difference to drinkability. So yeah, absolutely. In the future, we'd love to see an opportunity to develop our lager program. You know, put some horizontals in. In the UK market, there just isn't the same passion.
It's tough, isn't it? It's
for that kind of quality difference. So we'd love to see that get celebrated and elevated.
It's trying to explain to the customer that you're paying a bit more for your lager, but it's so much better, the lager quality.
You know what we've got right now is we've got tens of breweries that are absolutely bloody excellent at producing really high quality lager. So I think that time will come.
Yeah, I think so.
I think all the foundational work is being done right now, and I'd like to think that in the coming years, you know, the customer will be banging on the door saying, "Hey,
great lager,
go that extra mile."
Well, fun fact: I've never tried a Cloudwater lager. Oh, lots of IPAs and stuff. Even the non-alcoholic stuff at Christmas time you sent me, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely great stuff. That was really good. But yeah, not tried a Cloudwater lager as of yet. As of
well,
yet.
You might get a chance today.
Yeah, we'll have a look. We'll have a look. Okay, so oh, you got some barrel aging going on?
Well, yeah, we typically bring barrels in for servicing. So most of the aging happens next door.
Right.
So what we can go and look at now. When we first started off, we had 8 vessels in the cellar, and now we've got 18.
Right. Wow.
So there's a lot more options.
Yeah. Lots of Look at all the fermenters down there.
So that was our first fermenter alley. And 8 tanks to start off with.
I love doing a review down a fermenter alley. Set up a camera and drink a beer in between it all, surrounded by great beer.
We were given advice by tens upon tens of established breweries. The lovely people that we had in our crew when we first opened up, they knew all manner of different people in the industry, and so we got given loads of advice, and the advice was consistently, you have to build a little bit more space than you're initially going to need, because you definitely will want to grow your cellar, and you'll want space to do that without having to move your premises. And I'm really, really happy that we took that advice on. We made ourselves enough space to grow the cellar a little bit bigger. If anybody at home is watching this and thinking, God, what does this all mean? Look at all these tanks. Does that mean that Cloudwater's massive? If you know good friends of ours, Colonel, down in London, we've never produced more beer than them any year that we've been going.
Really?
So we're that size brewery.
Right. So
that's you know, it looks big and impressive, especially when you're walking into a little beer factory for the first time, but that kind of contextualizes what sort of size of brewery we are.
I think it's a wonderful size. Really, really wonderful size, because you've got that kind of like, you can scale up, you can scale down, you've got the room. There's still room here, isn't it? So if you wanted to kind of like move a little bit more, but really fantastic.
So now we've got a packaging line in here. A cask canning line. So I've literally just stopped running it. We are drinking these cans fresh off the line.
It is lovely,
and this just allows us to obviously empty our vessels from the cellar there, the beer tanks, and get the beer into package just to our specification. We much prefer doing that than outsourcing that operation, because then we're in complete control, and all of our quality standards still bear impact on all of our decisions all the way right through till the end. So I'm going to turn that music down.
Oh, there we go, perfect. So whenever you're buying your Cloudwater cans, this is where it all comes from. Fantastic, perfect, great. beer fridge, or you got a load of beer in there, or what's it, hops, or?
Now it's just a warm cupboard for maturation, so we get to see how the cans work out in ambient storage.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm just going to move just a little bit this way, a bit, unless, which way will we go in?
Well,
next?
I think we'll probably jump to the next building.
Okay.
And go from there.
And I'll talk to you along the way
if
that's okay.
Yeah.
So, typically on a Friday afternoon here, so you've been bashing it out all week brewing beer.
Yeah.
And what happens on a Friday afternoon at Cloudwater? Do you get all the boys together and do you have a little drink, or?
There's almost always a gathering of the crew next door. You know, obviously we've got lots of. The brewery's moved on a little bit. Right when we first started, Simon, the crew was very young.
Yeah.
And everyone loved hanging out together every Friday night.
Of course.
And now, you know, we're in a wonderful position where most of our crew have young families.
Yeah.
And you know, they make their way into their family lives. And I actually really, you know, part of me's sad that we don't all just get together every single Friday and chug a load of dipper. But actually, we had those days and they were really fun.
They were. Yeah.
And now we've got a different, you know, we've got a more mature workforce, and that is a really, really wonderful thing.
It is wonderful. One more question, if I may. There's quite a few breweries around here.
Yeah.
So my follow-on question is, do you meet other breweries on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday and have a few beers with them, or?
A bunch of our crew will do the rounds on a semi-regular basis. That's one of the things that I think we take a lot of pride in. We love to get out of the house. We love to go and meet friends of ours elsewhere in the industry. You'll regularly find staff of ours at Track or at Balance or at Sure Shot.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, that's because we love beer.
The brewing industry is a wonderful thing, isn't it? It is a wonderful thing. I went to Poland a few years ago, and all secrets were kind of shared. You know, it was kind of, and they were all friends. And it's just, wherever you go in the brewing industry, it's just different to the food industry, is it?
Oh, big time.
Yeah. So barrel aging.
We're just walking into the ground floor here of Unit 9, and this is where the majority of our barrels are kept. They've got all sorts of different beers going on in them.
Yeah.
So lots of different types of projects being worked on here.
Yeah.
Really exciting stuff.
Let's have a look at that.
3 large fooders in the back there.
Yeah. Oh, look at this over here.
So we make a lot of different types of beer. We make spontaneous beer, so similar to what the Belgians would call lambic, and then comes Gers.
Yeah.
We don't use that terminology because that's really should be protected for those folk with that condition. We make spontaneous fermented beer, so we have a couple of cool ships that we use most years. Of course, we also just brew strong beer, ferment that out next door, and then add, use the barrels for like secondary re-fermentation. So we've got everything here from spirit barrels to white wine barrels, red wine barrels,
red wine,
and they all have a different character.
Fantastic. So when they talk about it, I went to Brussels a few years ago as part of a blogging thing, and so their fooders, they would generally, sometimes they'd put their beer in there and they'd been there for years, type of thing. Is that what's going on here then? What's the typical?
So typically beer is going to be in a barrel anything from as short as 4 or 5 months. If it's a brand new fresh spirit barrel and we're putting an imperial stout in it and we think it tastes great after 4 or 5 months, we might take some of it out then. We might also leave beer in a barrel for 2, 3, 4 years. So it really depends on what we're trying to achieve. What the wonderful thing about running a barrel program is you've got lots of options.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can pull a nail out of the barrel, take a sample, see how it's working out. You can obviously run all of your lab reports on it too. And see what the specs are looking like, and then plenty of sensory analysis and making decisions on, how the beer is working, whether it's heading in the direction you want it to. And sometimes we find that even though we have a plan and we think we know the character of the barrels really well, and we think we know the character of the cultures that we're pitching into the barrels, sometimes they just head in their own direction, and the best thing that we can do is kind of get to know what's their
And that's a wonderful thing in itself, isn't it? Because you get a little surprise then, don't you? You're like, oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good to have a very open mind. Blending's a really important part of making barrel-aged beer. So even though we might fill 10 different barrels with exactly the same spec wort or beer to begin with, you get 10 different completely different expressions. And to be able to then put that together as a blend and say, hey, this combination of these different barrels is exactly what's right for us. Brian does a lot of that work for us. He's absolutely incredible, and it's a real pleasure putting those blends together, because small changes can make really, really big impacts to that final product.
Wow, fantastic. Oh, wonderful. I did a bit of blending in the Dr. Van der Coroner in Belgium. Have you been underneath the...
No, I haven't, but I absolutely love the beer.
Really good beer. Really good beer. That was blended beer. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much for having us. We're going to go around the whole of Manchester, so carry on watching the video. Where do you suggest we go next, Paul?
Upstairs.
Should we go and have a little come on, let's go. Let's let's have a walk. I thought that was the end. Sorry, guys.
Start of the afternoon.
In terms of the tour, I meant. I thought.
So this is our latest and greatest, and the cool thing about having a tap room right next door to the brewery is the guys can keep working on whatever they need to work on, Monday to Friday. We run shifts next door, and then we get to bring kegs through here, snap them on, they're as fresh as it gets. And we love to come, the production team and us in management and whatnot, we love to come here and check the beer out and see what the fruits of our labour is.
And I bet that's still to this day, after doing it for so many years, I bet it's still a wonderful thing. Do you know what? We've brewed a great beer this week. We've put the recipe together. It's now finished fermenting. Let's go and try it. And again, I bet you get some great surprises there where you thought, this is what I wanted it to be, maybe it's slightly different, but this is where it all kind of happens. So you probably do all your brewery tastings here before the beer leaves it all happens here.
On Friday afternoon, if we get the chance, we'll sit down and open up all of the cans that we just packaged from that last week. Analyse them, make sure that they're coming out the way that we want them to.
Fantastic. And do you do a bit of food as well, or like bar snacks?
We have traders that come in now, which is really helpful. I think it's very sad to not have a food offering. So if you can do that, we're not. The landlord's very stiff, so the landlord still prohibits food on site.
Right. Okay.
But we kind of just fly a little bit under the radar.
Absolutely.
They don't visit on Saturdays.
No, absolutely. And I can see this is your guest. So you've got a double IPA up there from New Zealand. I really thoroughly enjoyed your version series. I think it went up to. I added up to 13, and it was absolutely fantastic. Do you have plans, or have you released another version series of beers?
Yeah, so we've had 14 out, which was another half collaboration, 15 with Uchu, 16 with the Veil. Really looking forward to working on some new iterations. I think the really important part of that V series is kind of giving us an opportunity to try lots of new things out. When we first started brewing double IPAs, we knew that we had a lot of work to do to figure out what that style was, what it could do, what it was about. And I think with bringing the V series back, it allows us to hold our hands up and say, look, there's a lot that we're still working on. There's loads of new yeasts, new hops, new types of hop product. Expectations in the consumer base are continuing to sort of shift. People have loads of different nuanced opinions now about double IPAs. We're here with Rob. Rob will remember the days when double IPAs were really one type of flavour.
I was just gonna get, if you could just go over. I was gonna get you on this actually and talk to you, Rob, about this very subject, because you were a big fan of the double IPA series, or the V series.
Pre that, double IPA was almost hoppy barley wine-esque.
Yes.
Lovely, delicious, very malt forward, very bitter, very classic. And I think now you talk to your average hoppy beer drinker, and they've got loads of opinions about what type of double IPA they like.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
That for me just shows the progress that's been made. You know, we've gone beyond do you binary like or not like that style, that strength, to now people have got loads of specific and nuanced tastes within them.
Yeah, and I think for me, before the V series, it would be I popped on Waitrose and buy like a Sierra Nevada Torpedo. That was my idea of a double IPA. You guys come in with the V series, and then all of a sudden there's now lots and lots of double IPA in the UK.
Absolutely. And the second V2 debuted at our event that we did at Northern Monk. Paul brought a keg of it on the train with you.
Did you?
The Hopulus Lupulus. Yeah.
Then
At
went on to become Hop City.
Hop City.
Second
Yeah.
one.
Fantastic. Wonderful. We're going to drink some of your beer here today. We're going to do some reviews if we possibly can. I mean, I nearly didn't come up into the tap room. Is there anywhere else for us to see in the brewery? Or?
Yeah, I guess we could. Well, the other warehouse is just a storage facility. So
Okay.
I think you've seen all the action.
Well, this is the main action now, isn't it? This is Paul. Thank you so very much for walking us round. I'm really excited. This is my first time in Manchester. Never been to Manchester. Been everywhere else bar Manchester for some reason. So I'm dead excited to see some of them. Can you suggest a couple of nice pubs for us to go to tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we finish working in beer at the end of a week like that, we usually just want very lovely, relaxing places to go and drink. One of my favourite places to go and drink is City Arms. It's a classic boozer, really great selection of beer. There's almost always a cracking Red Willow, Neptune. You might find a keg of ours occasionally. But it's a really lovely environment. It's been there for a long time, and you can kind of feel that presence. I also really love Britain's Protection, one of the biggest whiskey selections in the city. So if you're fancying a dram to go with a pint, that's also great.
Oh, we'll get there.
The team at Cafe Beermoth are one of my favourite teams in the city.
Okay.
They just always make folk feel very welcomed and relaxed, and they've got a wonderful selection of beer. So honestly, between them and tens upon tens of our other favourite bars in the city centre, you're going to be sport for choice.
Oh, it's going to be a good day tomorrow then.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you very much, Paul, for having us, and make sure to try some Cloudwater beer. It's absolutely fantastic. Cheers, everybody. All right, Rob, that was nice of Paul.
It was very nice, wasn't it?
Very nice of Paul. First real sit down at a bench beer in Manchester.
Already had a can, but
yeah. What are we drinking from Cloudwater?
So this is a brand new release 2 days ago. It's called Splash. It's pale ale, 5% ABV. Let's dive in.
Looks good. Lovely head, lovely conditioning, aroma. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. A little bit of melon.
Yeah. Kind of lovely, kind of vibrant citrus.
Yeah. Am I picking up maybe a bit of Pilsner malt or something in there?
Yeah, it does have. I think it's. Yeah, I'm hoping for a really kind of sluggable kind of first one.
Yeah. Cheers.
So yeah, let's dive in.
Let's wash away that train journey. 5 hours on the train.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's really nice. They
Got some
really
lemon and lime for me.
lemon and lime, bit of melon.
Absolutely.
Really clean and crisp.
I can never remember which melon, the yellow one. Is it the big yellow one? Like
yeah,
a bar?
yeah. Or the
for me.
green one. Yeah.
There's a little
definitely.
cracked one.
Yeah.
But it's the big yellow one.
It's the big yellow one.
Yeah, I never remember. Cantaloupe. That's probably it, isn't it?
Probably. But they make some cracking
super
beers,
crisp.
don't they?
But it's got that kind of. It's not bitter, but it's got there's something there in there. It is actually the back end. It's a little bit dry and a little bit bitter.
It is nice and dry. I love a dry beer these days.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but crisp and dry, refreshing. It looks like the sun's going to come out. We've got the barrel aging behind us, which you've probably just seen. I'm going to stitch a load of these videos together. They won't be individual beer reviews. I'm
No.
kind of one big Manchester video. I mean, quick score. This is probably an 8 for me.
Yeah.
8 out of 10.
Well, I'll leave you to
Fantastic.
the reins.
Okay.
But there'll be plenty more. First of many.
First of many. Yeah, I mean, tracks over there. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
We'll be there in a bit.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Okay, next beer, Rob. Piccadilly Pilsner. Decent looking Pilsner.
Absolutely pin right.
It is pin bright, isn't it? What's your, are you a lager fan? I never really asked you, really.
See, I prefer Hellers to a Pils.
Yeah,
but I'll be curious about this. I like a soft Hellers. Pils are usually a bit more bite to them.
I know. I think if it was burning hot sunshine now, this would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's aroma.
Spot on.
Oh,
That's what you expect, isn't it?
Yeah. You get the kind of estery that's like lager yeast.
Yeah.
I can never quite describe it.
No,
though.
me
It's
neither.
such a difficult. You know it's there.
It's
you
not.
know it's a
It's
lager.
not quite salty.
No.
It's like eggy.
No. But it's.
But there's a softness to it. It's like gingerbread,
Something like that. Yeah.
but then lots of
Unique to lagers.
lots of soft citrus.
Soft malt as well, like wafer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ice cream wafer.
Ice cream wafer. Yeah. Right.
Herbaceous, grassy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Let's
That's,
dive in.
yeah. Cheers, Rob. Oh, that is spot on.
You drink a lot more lager than me, but
It's a Cloudwater Pilsner. I mean, it's bound to be fantastic, isn't it? That is really good.
but you have to
I'm really
think
impressed
brewers
with
of this ilk, who's not mono hoppy brew, would be maybe well, I'm going to make something that is so kind of precisely well made as that, because it's really neat. Get a bunch of like high quality German pilsners and Czech pilsners. I think that'll stand up.
This is brilliant. This is quite brilliant Pilsner.
And the sun's just come out. Perfect.
If I hold
Glowing
it
in
here,
the glowing in the
it's glowing in the sunshine. Oh, crisp, dry, refreshing, lager estery, Pilsner malt.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Nice bitterness, biting bitterness on the back end.
That once again, that kind of sweet bread brioche kind of like style thing. That's beautiful.
Oh, I could drink a gallon of that. A gallon of that. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Lovely.
Okay, Rob, what's next, mate?
So it's an IPA, another new release here at Cloudwater called Setenbukon, which is a collab with a French brewery called Prism. And I figured out it translates at it's a racket.
It's a racket.
Yeah, 7% ABV. I mean, it's
7, is it?
so and
Well, once in Manchester.
exactly.
Once in Manchester.
But I mean, it's what you expect. Mega hazy.
I'm just loving. Do you know when I love that little rock? I've
Yeah.
always that little bit of carbonation.
We work on me and a bunch of others work on this principle of haze for days, murky for months, and unclear for years.
Yeah.
I'm going to go up top end of murky for months.
Murky.
Not completely. It's not like chicken gravy.
Yeah.
But it's heading in that direction. But kind of like a pale golden yellow.
Yeah. I mean, drinking it at the brewery as well. This is going to be sensational. 7% ABV. Just brilliant, isn't it?
The thing that hits me straight away is, do you remember sherbet fountains?
Yeah.
Like you get a little
I
bit
know.
of licorice in a thing.
Yeah.
It was when because I didn't like the licorice bit, but it left a licorice taint to the sherbet, and it always reminds me of that. I don't know what it is.
Right.
I don't know what the hop is, but it's
Something like estery again, slightly estery again.
yeah, it's got a slightly petrol-y nose.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
No,
I find
no.
certain hops
No.
like Rakow and sometimes Nelson get a bit bacony. This is on the bacon petrol kind of. I wish I had the words.
Yeah.
Which are more eloquent, but I
Yeah.
just get kind of. That was my phone.
Oh, was it?
It was the kind of forecourt of a petrol station. Flowers and petrol.
Beautiful. Yeah.
But grapefruit and pineapple big time as well.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
what we
massive.
should say about it,
Yeah.
not me just banging on about fucking
Yeah.
petrol. But yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, Rob. Oh, that's
Oh.
delightful. That is delightful, isn't it? Oh, it's just super. It's just. I don't want to use the word slick because slick for me is.
But it's full, soft.
I associate
quite
slick
unctuous in
with
a lot of
lactose,
ways.
and it hasn't got
Yeah.
lactose. It's
No,
that,
it's got a lovely amount of body.
Yeah. This is all oats in there. Oats and it's like wafer flavours, and then we roll into the hops. It's,
Yep.
it's
Pineapple. But once again, it's savoury.
pineapple and savoury.
It's a savoury
Yeah.
thing. It's hard to put your finger on. I'll often start pulling out ideas from your spice rack really.
Yeah.
But I can never put my finger on it. A lot of people say quite dank.
I quite like what you should use a lot of like a white pepper type of. It could definitely works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In this beer. And I just want to say, because we off camera we've talked about a number of things today. We've talked about supermarket beer. There is a difference. When you hear me saying and Rob saying pineapple here, maybe a touch of mango here, it's so much. It's in a different sentence to supermarket pineapple and mango, isn't it? This is of a different quality.
Yeah, and this is part of a. It's not a strict range, but I think it's how Cloudwater classify certain of their beers. This is on the menu. It's in the area that's called amped up, and this is you take a supermarket beer, and it's the amped up version of that. It's got a lot more going on, a lot more body, a lot more flavour, just a lot more than what you would get.
Oh, it's beautiful. Really, really, really good beer. Really good beer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Hey, we are on the Once Upon a Time Stout. Look, this looks fantastic.
7%?
7% ABV, jet black beer in the glass. Rocking it back and forth. Doesn't that look delicious?
Between the top.
Delicious. Yeah.
Yes, so Paul was saying earlier, I think it's the first of a series that they're going to be doing. They're going to do collaborations with a load of other breweries.
Right.
A load of local breweries, I think you were saying.
Okay.
This is the first one, so this is theirs. This one, then we're going to do more. Should be collabs with other Manchester breweries.
That's
Yeah.
just brilliant. And you might see, these are not peanuts.
And it's not marijuana either. The cachet of weed we're sampling.
We've been brought over, we've been doing like a hop smelling.
Yeah.
So Paul's around the corner from Cloudwater.
With the rest of the team,
With
yeah.
the rest of the team doing hop smelling. And we've been invited to get involved as well. And we got one right, didn't we? We got number 3
Well,
right.
I think we were all, nobody can be wrong in this game.
Yeah, but we kind of like being there around the corner,
Yeah.
we managed to get number 3 right. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. You're basically, what you're doing, you're kind of
A
rubbing
bit of that.
the hops together like this.
Having a little sniff.
Rubbing them on, yeah, and chucking it everywhere. But no, so it's Ruaka.
It's
This
Ruaka,
is,
so we've done Motorweka and we've done Nelson Sauvin. So they're doing hop selection, so you'll get yourself from Sing Grower, different batches. So therefore these guys can kind of rub them and have a sniff and think, I like that one, and we'll buy hundreds and hundreds of pounds of it. That's what's sweet, and this is all you've got to go on. But I guess it's that experience of smelling those hops over years and years and years that you go, I like that one.
I like that one. Or I like that
I'll
one.
spend thousands of pounds on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to a beer that's got very little hops in, I'd imagine.
A stout. This is looking delicious.
That smells great.
It's like milky. It's like milk stout aroma to it.
It does have a bit of that, yeah.
American breakfast stout. You know that.
Yeah. Kind of it's got a bit of Ovaltine going on. It's
Bit of Ovaltine. Bit of vinous, like bit of dark fruit going on.
Yeah. I was going like posh cola. Do you know cola that you pay like £3 a bottle for?
Yeah, I know.
Like a little
Like
it's got a bit of that. It's got cola nut. Maybe that's it.
yeah, posh cola. Yeah.
But breakfast cereal with warm gold top milk.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. Cheers, Rob.
A bit of licorice as well. For its ABV, it's got a lot of
Stuff going on. 7%. Yeah.
Yeah. That's lovely.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And quite dry and burnt as well. Coconut, yes, absolutely.
Coconut.
It's not got any of. I don't think it's got much of what you normally say.
Yeah, the coffee chocolate.
Back end, that kind of
Nice bitterness.
a retro nasal experience. Do you
Yeah.
know when it kind of wafts around?
Yeah.
Filter coffee,
Filter. Yeah, definitely. Bit of filter coffee going
black
on.
coffee. But that comes at the end.
And a lovely, creamy, rich mouthfeel.
Roasty, toasty.
Really roasty, roasty,
Definitely
toasty,
roasty,
creamy,
because
beautiful.
things can be more fruity and kind of plum and things like that. This is definitely on the roasty toasty side.
Yeah, definitely. Look at this.
You get tobacco even.
Bit of tobacco, yeah, as Stuart Pickard might say, a bit of pipe tobacco smoke. He liked that one, didn't he? That we all have our little sayings.
Little
don't we?
things, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's lovely. But it does have that softness. I mean, you know, warmed up gold top milk over Weetabix
Yeah, most definitely.
while you're smoking a pipe.
The malt, the biscuit. This for me, it's nice. I got to be honest, because it's served at a really nice. What the viewers don't get is the temperature. It's served at a really lovely temperature.
It's always been a big thing with Cloudwater, serving in things at the right temperature.
Yeah, I mean for a stout, this is the
not
perfect
freezing
temperature. Even with the sun, like well, it's more or less June now. Tomorrow, so
Yeah.
it's summer sunshine hitting us. It's still refreshing.
It is.
It's still
Not
refreshing.
hard work at all.
Yeah, I really like that. We've got to get back to our hop sniffing.
Yeah.